Hi, everyone. I'm so happy you're able to join us in this session this afternoon. I'm Lisa Peters. I'll be moderating this section with two wonderful artists, Caribbean artists, who are bringing the color, creativity, art, everything that you need now this afternoon at this point in our Lifestyle Inspired by Financial Empowerment Conference, the Life Conference. Welcome, everyone. Round of applause. All right, so with us today, we're just going to have a quick chat, nothing too heavy, but we are going to pick up some gems here regarding creativity, art. We live in the islands, it's wonderful. We have a magical day today, February 22nd, 2022. You know by now, this is indeed a magical day. We have a magical half hour for you. We have with us two artists. I'm going to let them introduce. Sitting with us today, we have Vaughn and Joya. Many of you may have heard of them, may know their work. And what I'll do, I'll just let them introduce themselves and you'll get to know them a bit better. Good afternoon, Joya.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for your introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Vaughn, how are you?
Hi, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very pleased to be here as well.
Great. We are so thrilled to have you bring the color, bring the life to our conference this afternoon. Let's just dive right in. Joya, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Joya Cousin. I was born in Antigua and Barbuda. I started out my career with the Big Four accountancy firms. I worked with Ernst & Young in Barbados and PricewaterhouseCoopers in Antigua back in the day, and KPMG as well. But 5 years ago, I fell in love with a French man and decided to leave it all behind. We got married and moved to France, and went on to working in France, not working in France. I discovered my love for painting and for art, and now I paint portraits full time.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I love how your life has managed to bring you down this path of creativity. Wonderful. Vaughn, come tell the people.
Well, I think I've always been an artist. Ever since I could remember, I was always painting and drawing something somewhere. So it's always been a part of my life, regardless.
Okay, and you're based in Nevis, correct?
I'm based in Nevis, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we've got the Caribbean.
I've actually met Joya many, many moons ago, long before she was ever even contemplating being an artist.
So perhaps you planted a seed.
It's true. Vaughn, honestly, Vaughn is such an amazing and prolific artist, and I've always admired his work for over 20 years now. I would never have dreamed that I would have been able to live the life of an artist, but Vaughn is truly a true Caribbean artist. He is so creative. I don't know, Vaughn, do you keep track of how many works you do? I mean, it must be thousands by now.
I try.
Wonderful.
Vaughn is an inspiration.
Wow. Okay. So we've got, pretty much how you guys started and what ignited passion. So Vaughn, you were always doing these types of things. Joya took the scenic route and realized that Vaughn, perhaps some of the seeds Vaughn may have planted, germinated, and now we have years later living in France, Caribbean artists. I mean, this is just wonderful. I love it. Yeah. Well, with our conference and the way we are trying to impress the value of financial wellness, and it's not just in these times, but certainly these times have made the concept of financial wellness more pertinent. How do you see art's role in financial wellness? Joya, if you could just give us your view.
Okay, well, I worked in the financial sector, at least in accounting, for a long time. So I've worked as an auditor, I've worked as a CFO, financial controller, and as a CEO as well. So obviously it takes quite a bit of dedication and focus to get there and to do that kind of work. But I have discovered in myself things that I didn't even understand now that I do art. And one of those things is what we call flow. And it's not just the ability to work hard and to focus, but to actually enter into a state where you don't even realize that time is passing. Like the creativity just flows from somewhere you don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's coming from God or if it's coming from where, but you just tap into something inside of yourself that has always been there that you don't kind of get into if you're under pressure. And so in experiencing that, I have become so much more of a calm person, a confident person, more disciplined. And it's something that I would encourage for anybody. And I think that we get into that state, or we can teach ourselves how to get into that state when we start to tap into our natural creativity. Whether it's music or dance or art, I think all of us have something in us. My definition of an artist is somebody who makes art. So even if you're literally drawing stick figures, I encourage anybody who's interested in just sort of mining their full potential. And of course, I believe that hard work usually translates into financial results as well. So even if you're a medical doctor or you dive for a living, whatever you do, there's space for you to exercise your creativity, to tap into that state of flow so that you can then carry that into all other aspects of your life and increase your financial wellness.
Correct. Yes, lovely. Vaughn, do you see or draw any parallels regarding your work as an artist and how we could use the creativity in financial wellness?
Well, Joya have made some very good points. However, the thing about artists and finance, they really don't go hand in hand, because art is something that you feel and it's a creative process. And a lot of times, how can I price a work that's a piece of myself? And it's very hard to do that because it's priceless to me. It's something that I created from scratch. So therefore, the financial part of it, a lot of times I've seen a lot of artists have to resort to financial advisors and have a business person to actually sell and promote their work, because it is so hard to balance both, because it's two totally different genres. When you get into the money part of it, I think you lose the creativity part of it. So you cannot let money be your focus of your piece, or else it won't be that good of a piece. Right. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, understood.
So it's a very hard marriage. I've tried to commercialize my work, but a lot of times I would go out and do murals just for the hell of it, just because it's something that I feel like I want to do. However, it is still a business decision because it promotes my work. So it goes two ways. But at the same time, you go back to, well, I can't do all of this for free, because I always say, well, if you want to tell me what to do, you're going to pay me for what you want. Let me go out and paint what I want on my own. I consider that to be practice.
Right.
But when you want me to paint that exact same thing on your wall, well, then that's a job.
Yes.
So I think there's a marriage between the two. However, I try very hard to focus on the art and the creativity part of it rather than the financial part of it. The financial part of it does come. However, it is not the focus.
Right. But you've made a valuable point here, Vaughn. And I think that's probably something we've learned so far in this conference. It's that, there's help available. There are people who are able to guide you. So as you made a valid point in that this is your area, you know about creativity, you're an artist, you can definitely stay in that lane of being a creative. And certainly it would be a distraction to you, really, and your process to have to focus on the financial side. So then here it is that you're saying, hey, we're not jack of all trades. It's okay to be that master of one and then reach out for help. So if you need a marketer, if you need a financial planner, if you need that, there are resources there and you can lean on. I mean, that's wonderful. Joya, I know what you speak of regarding flow. It's something where hours and hours will just disappear. You start in the day and you look out and it's night. And I mean, what a wonderful process to be able to work in a way that time just goes. You just allow that creativity to flow. And if you're able to do something that you enjoy in such a beautiful way, in such an authentic way, I mean, it's wonderful. I just love the idea of a creative, and the fact that, as you stated, we're all creative. How you express this, it will differ. But we indeed all creative. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I see your beautiful work, Joya. What medium do you work in?
I work mostly in acrylic, a little bit in oil, on canvas, mostly.
On canvas. Okay, and Vaughn, is that acrylic back there as well?
Yes, I work in acrylic. However, I've done oils. I do charcoal, pencil, murals, sculpture, 3D art.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you see, the thing is, here in the Caribbean and Nevis, it's very hard to just stick to one genre. And I've realized that if you're gonna deal with that, then you're not gonna make it. So what I've done is I've incorporated art in all of my business. I do weddings, parties, social events where I do decorations. I am currently employed by MSR Media, which is a film company. So I design movie sets as well.
Wow.
I do stage design, stuff like that. So I try to incorporate it in every avenue that I've chosen, but
Right.
I do not try to stick to any one thing at all. So where
Mhm,
one
mhm.
doesn't happen, the other one will.
And again, here we go. I mean, the idea of flexibility, the idea that we do not, tether ourselves to one idea, or one ideal. I love that, Vaughn, because we tend to as well. I mean, you made the point, in the Caribbean, it's something we must do, but many of us grow up with the idea of a singular. It's either
Right,
this or,
right.
nothing. Or if you're not doing it this way, it's not being done at all. And again, much like our financial lives and our wellness, you may have to try different things. You may have to take different approaches. I mean, that's wonderful. So Vaughn, tell me, you know, we're gonna try to wrap up here. I really, truthfully, I could sit here all day. This is
So can
my
I.
space. I
So
just
can I.
love this conversation. I think we need a part two. But before we
Yeah.
run out of time, I want to just get for you to share something, some gems, some pearls of wisdom, things you might have learned that may have come up along the way that you can share with us. We can certainly elaborate on some things, whether you see it, play a role in financial wellness or just generally in life. Let's hear something.
I think that, well, in the financial wellness part of it, before you even think, I think you never should never make financial the focus of your life. Before even choosing a means of employment, it's like, for example, myself, my dad wanted me to be a fisherman. However, art was always my passion. And so there was a definite battle between the choice that someone wants to make for you and the choice that you want to make for yourself. One would have sent me down a path where I would not have been happy, but I chose what I feel was the right choice. In doing so, however, it's a lonely road. It's a road that you have to take with your own passions in mind. And at the end of the day, you have to love what you do. And a lot of people go to work and they're miserable, not because of they go for a paycheck versus loving what you're getting into. And that's the thing. Me, I love my job. I love what I do. And I've never given it up for anything. I used to work at the Four Seasons Resort and I did that for 17 years. But even there, I was the creative director. I designed the group function and stuff like that. But even there, I said, you know what, this is not for me. The pay was good. I would have probably been better off. But at the end of the day, I came out of it. I said, you know what, I want to do this for myself, be in control of my own destiny. And so, yes, I think whenever you try to get into anything, put your heart into it. Just don't do it because someone else thinks it's what you should do. Find out what you need to do for yourself and choose that path.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. I mean, we could all use that. And quite frankly, at any stage in your life, that's relevant. Joya, tell me, if we could have just a view, an opinion, something that you could share with us that we could take away.
For me, I mean, I've had a very different path to Vaughn. I mean, he's
Tell
always been
me,
an
tell us, tell us,
artist.
tell us, tell us.
And I mean, Vaughn says I can imagine, Vaughn is a little baby, not even being able to write yet, and maybe holding a crayon or a paintbrush or something like that.
Yes,
He's
he
one of
probably
those rare
held the
people.
bottle like a sable brush or something.
I think he's one of those really rare people. I mean, probably way less than 1% of the population who are just born artists and born creators. I don't consider myself to be one of those. I worked for 20 years in the corporate world. And so my path has been very different. I never had a longing to sort of do my own thing or even to be an entrepreneur. All right. And there are a lot of people who have that burning desire within them. So I totally agree with Vaughn. If you have a burning desire within you to go do something specific, go and do it. I would say, as a person who has worked in finance, hedge your bets. I always tell people, if you love what you do it. But at the same time, don't force your baby to make you money. If art is your baby, don't force your baby to go out and work for you. It's a baby. It needs to be protected. It needs to be nurtured little by little until it's strong enough to support you. If you're a born artist and you have talent coming out of your pores like Vaughn, it's a totally different story. But if you have to get there little by little, do it little by little. Don't say, should I quit my job or should I go and sing? Should I quit my job or should I become an artist? It will be clear. All right. So don't think it's an either or. I always say it's a both and situation. You can work during the week and take 1 hour on the weekends to paint, or 1 hour on a Sunday afternoon to go and do your photography, or 1 hour a week to be part of a dance troupe and express yourself that way and treat it as something that will continue to bring you joy without necessarily putting yourself under unnecessary pressure by expecting this passion of yours to put food on your table. So that's one thing I will share. Another thing is that we are creatives, okay? And before I was able to express myself on canvas, I was always creative in my job. And I did that in order to find ways to love what I do. So I would say, if you don't love what you do, you're thinking you're not loving it, be creative and find a way to love it. Find a way to morph it into something that can bring out the real you. I've been a boss, so to speak, and I've seen people who are mismatched in their jobs, or they need a little bit more space to bring out their full creativity. And it takes somebody, a leader who is a little bit creative, to see the potential in somebody and say, how about we try you out with this additional responsibility, or switch roles a little bit, or how would you be interested in progressing in this other direction? And maybe you don't have that opportunity, but you can do it for yourself. You can look around you, whatever organization you're in, instead of just seeing it as a drag to go to work every day. Think about what you would like to do. Right. If you're a receptionist, maybe you'll say, well, okay, maybe I prefer to be a secretary, or maybe I would like to get into the marketing department. And I think that sometimes in the Caribbean, because of our history of slavery and, just all the things that have been showered down on us, we don't really necessarily like the concept of working for free. One thing I learned in my career is anything that you do for work, any skill that you develop, it's going to benefit you. You may be giving it to your boss for the moment, but you are building yourself, and you're going to take those skills with you. So everything I learned in my career, I am now able to employ it now. So I don't regret this path at all. I have benefited. I remember being somebody who is a leader with a boss or an owner of the company. He was suspicious about social media. So, okay, I got out there and built up the social media pages myself for the company. But now I know how to do it, I know how to go out and I don't have to be scared of it. So every single thing I've sort of volunteered to do or done for free has ended up benefiting me. So we can think of creativity in the traditional sense, and we can also think of creativity in new ways. But I would say that every time we employ creativity in our lives and our jobs, it ends up being a benefit to us, and it ends up being a joy as well. Because when you're creative, as Vaughn mentioned, you are bringing something inside of you out into the world that wasn't there before. And there is a certain joy and satisfaction that comes from that. So even if you have a job that you don't like, when you start to be creative, when you start to bring yourself 100% to the table, when you start to think of things that can be done differently, and okay, we've started doing that because of me. I remember a few years back, somebody sent me a spreadsheet. I don't know what it was, but it was something related to an audit confirmation or something. And the format that they sent me was 15 years after it. I was like, oh my God, I created that template. They're still using it. I was so excited. Even little things like that, the joy that brings. So people say, well, how do you manage to be an auditor? Don't you find it boring? No. because I brought myself to work every day to see, okay, how can I express myself in this so-called boring job?
Right.
I was never bored being an auditor. I mean, my career progressed because, you know, I was always looking for new things to do. And so I shifted into I've worked in hospitality, I've worked in, well, telecommunications was my last thing, but I've been able to shift because I was constantly bringing myself 100% to work.
Yeah.
I didn't just see work as a 9-to-5 thing or something that they're paying me for, or I never thought to myself, oh, they're not paying me for that. I just wanted to learn as much as possible and then bring what I could of Joya to that boring job.
To that. Oh, wonderful. What, Joya, this is so inspiring. You know, just listening to you and knowing that there are people who are going to benefit from this. Vaughn, the very same thing. The idea that you knew from the outset, you know, the parallel between you. I mean, this is a perfect conversation because Vaughn, from the outset, you knew this was it. This was your path. Nobody was taking you from this path. I mean, that's wonderful. Joya, you came to this a little later on, and from what you said earlier, really not having that background, but treated this as a baby and nurturing and allowing yourself to really mature in this space whilst doing your 9-to-5. I mean, you know, if anyone doesn't get inspired by this section, this segment, I don't know what to say. But you are so correct in terms of the value that you can bring to anything, to any space in our lives. You're bringing your whole self, your authentic self. It doesn't have to manifest always, as you said, in the form of a paintbrush. It doesn't always manifest itself in what we consider to be the traditional aspects of art, but seeing how you can improve a situation. We all have that skill. We are all able to take our roles and add to it. Or even as you stated, that if you're in a position where you can see talent and nurture that talent and direct it somewhere where it suits that person. I mean, we all have the ability to do that. And I think that's wonderful. This conversation has been great. As you said earlier, Joya, you know, you're nurturing things little by little. Part of Samuel Fields Consulting Group's mantra is little by little. So we've Caribbeanized your little by little, and you're so correct. We can approach financial wellness in that very same way, little by little. No one is saying overnight, you know, you're going to be able to sort of handle this part of your life, and you're not going to get it right all the time. But that is what doing it little by little really and truly means. As I look at the art behind you, Joya, I look at that painting behind you, Vaughn. I mean, that is a testimony to what it means to really be your authentic self. You know, don't stay in that sort of one defined or predetermined idea of who you are, you know, and what people say you are. We clearly are so much more. And I think that's what I've gotten from listening to both of you, that we all have so much more to offer, so much more to contribute, and that we really needn't be boxed into any one thing. So let me know, Vaughn, if I wanted, you know, for example, a painting, I wouldn't perhaps maybe want a portrait per se, but how could we touch base with you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, Vaughn Anslin, and the Facebook, same name, Vaughn Anslin. My number is 869-665-8727. That's WhatsApp as well. Or you can reach me on email, thev52@hotmail.com.
Okay, right. So we have Facebook, Insta, WhatsApp, email. Everybody, we know how to get Vaughn. Joya, I know you're based in France. Many of us are probably not going to take the trip, but how can we touch base with you?
Okay, I'm on Instagram as well, Joya Cousin, Facebook, Joya Cousin. My website is joyacousin.com. I have a presence on YouTube, so just search for me anywhere and it's Joya Cousin. Very easy to find.
Very much so. Thank you so much. All right, guys. At Samuel Fields Consulting Group, we have what's called our financial inspirations, just little tidbits, things that we like to share. And we call them our finspirations. So if you could share with me, Joy, what's your finspiration?
I like that. Inspiration. For me, it's pretty much the way I approach life, and I have for quite a long time. And it's that there's room for everyone. There doesn't necessarily have to be a competition. There's space for you. There's space for your dreams. There's enough for you, and it's okay to chase those dreams without feeling that you need to compete with anyone else. When I look at other artists, I appreciate the work of all the artists. Otherwise, and when you bring a sense of competition into things, you bring limitations, and there are no limitations. The sky is the limit. So we should always work our hardest, chase our dream without thinking that we aren't enough. There's room, or there isn't enough to go around. There's always enough to go around. Just look at people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. I mean, for Elon Musk, Mars is the limit, and maybe even beyond that. He came from nothing. He didn't finish his university degree, but he's managed to make his dreams come true. And I believe in that, having that blue sky approach to everything we do, whether it's through finances or our job or creativity. The other thing I would say is that when you exercise creativity, you tap into your authentic self, and it brings confidence, and that confidence plays out in every single area of our lives. So there's room for everybody. There's space for everyone.
Love it, love it. Vaughn, what's your inspiration?
Well, it's pretty much the same as Joya's, but the thing is, I've always said, I look at other people's work. The difference is, try not to compare yourself to anybody. Try to be better than you were yesterday. Let yourself be your own competition. Look at yourself and see always ways to improve. And even when people so-called criticize you, take it as constructive. Look at it, dissect it. Don't be rebellious against it, but actually take it on and say, you know what? Make alterations here and there, but always keep your own self in focus. The minute you start looking at someone else and what their achievements are, you lose sight of yourself, and it becomes unrealistic. But if you keep sight of yourself and your own triumphs and successes, pretty soon you'll be way ahead of the people you thought were ahead of you without even knowing it. So my take is, be better than yourself.
I love that. So pretty much people, this is wonderful. We have condensed. You are your own competition. That's what we're saying. Bye. You are your own competition. That's your takeaway from Vaughn. And Joya, what you really said is there's space to be your authentic self. There's always space to be exactly who you are. And that's wonderful. I love it. I've really enjoyed this session. These are some wonderful inspirations that I'm sure our attendees can take away. Keep that in your back pocket, guys. That is definitely a useful gem. We've really enjoyed what you've been able to share with us today. Keeping creativity, being artistic throughout your entire lives. I think that is not only something we need to practice in these pandemic times. It sort of brought the idea of being creative to the fore. And you two have really highlighted how important it is to weave your creativity throughout your lives. And we appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.